Imagine this. The greatest nation in the world, the United States of America, suddenly grinding to a halt. The lights flicker, the paychecks stop, the government shutters its doors, and ordinary people begin to wonder if the very foundation of their lives has cracked beneath their feet. But is this simply political turmoil, or could it be something far more ancient, far more prophetic? What if the shutdown of America is not merely a financial or political crisis, but a sign woven into the fabric of biblical prophecy itself? What if what we are seeing is the shadow of a collapse foretold thousands of years ago? A collapse that would shake not just one nation, but the entire world. Tonight, as you watch, I will take you on a journey into the hidden corridors of history and prophecy, connecting dots that most never dare to trace, and by the time you reach the end, you may never look at the idea of a government shutdown the same way again. It begins with the word collapse. Collapse is never sudden. It builds quietly, piece by piece, erosion beneath the surface until the whole structure crumbles in an instant. But the United States has been carrying the weight of debt, division, and deception for decades. And many scholars, economists, and even theologians believe the shutdowns we see in our lifetime are warnings, tremors before a greater quake. The Bible, in fact, speaks in layers about nations rising and nations falling, of towers built in pride only to be scattered, of empires boasting their strength yet undone overnight. And one of the most compelling questions we must ask is this: could America itself be stepping into the role of Babylon, the great power that intoxicates the world but eventually collapses under the weight of its own corruption? But the next part will surprise you even more. For hidden within the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation, there are patterns, symbols, and codes that point to cycles of collapse. Empires do not die by accident, they unravel according to divine timing. Ancient Babylon fell in one night as the king feasted, unaware that the Persians had already breached the walls. Rome collapsed not from foreign armies alone, but from decadence, economic instability, and division from within. And now we ask, could the shutdown of the US government be a whisper, a foreshadowing of something greater about to unfold? Imagine the mechanics of a shutdown, soldiers uncertain of their pay, families waiting for checks that do not arrive. National parks locked, borders stretched thin, air traffic controllers working without certainty. Now amplify that, not for days, but months. Imagine the trust of the world in the US dollar beginning to fracture, allies wondering if the foundation they have leaned upon for decades is crumbling. The Bible speaks of commerce collapsing in a single hour, merchants weeping as their goods are no longer bought, kings of the earth mourning as their trade vanishes. Revelation describes a world where economic collapse is not just a possibility, but a certainty woven into the pattern of the end of days. What comes next may change how you see the sky forever. For prophecy is not just about governments and politics, it is about the heavens, the signs above us that mark appointed times. Lunar eclipses, solar events, alignments of stars, all serve as cosmic reminders that what happens on Earth is written in the sky. Could it be that the shutdown and looming collapse of America coincide with heavenly signs? Blood moons have often marked turning points for Israel and the nations. Solar eclipses, darkening the skies, have always been seen as warnings. And America itself, divided by two great solar eclipses crossing the land within a span of 7 years, forms an X across its heartland. Coincidence or prophecy written in the heavens? The next revelation uncovers a secret very few people know. The word shutdown in itself is symbolic. In the Bible, gates shutting, doors closing, kingdoms sealing themselves off, all point to moments of transition, endings that lead to judgment. When Noah entered the ark, the door was shut by God himself, sealing humanity's fate outside. When the temple gates closed in Jerusalem, it was a sign of destruction to come. A shutdown is more than politics. It is symbolic of the end of a season, the shutting of a chapter before the next, often darker, one begins. But let's go deeper. The United States has long been seen as a nation blessed, a beacon of light, prosperity, and liberty. Yet prophecy teaches us that with great blessing comes greater accountability. Israel itself, when it prospered but turned from God, was warned by prophets that its prosperity would become its downfall. Fields would lie empty, merchants would flee, and the temple would be desecrated. Could America, in its pursuit of wealth, entertainment, and power, be echoing the very mistakes that led to Israel's exile and Babylon's fall? The parallels are haunting. And yet the story only grows darker and more mysterious from here. Because collapse is never just about economics or politics. It is spiritual. The Bible describes principalities and powers, unseen forces pulling the strings of kings and empires. A shutdown may look like politicians bickering over budgets, but what if it is the visible shadow of an invisible war? Angels and demons locked in conflict, nations shifting as pawns, in a game much larger than we can see. The prophets describe watchers, heavenly beings overseeing nations. When Daniel prayed, the angel told him of the prince of Persia, who resisted him, a demonic ruler over a nation. If Persia had its prince, does America have its own? And is that prince leading it into shutdown and collapse even now? But the next part will shock you even more. For when we study the cycles of debt, collapse, and judgment, America falls eerily into alignment with the Shemitah cycle described in the Torah. Every 7 years, debts were released, fields rested, economies reset. And when nations ignored it, collapse often came as forced judgment. The Great Depression, the crash of 2008, and other financial disasters all eerily lined up with these cycles. And now, as America faces another shutdown, we must ask, are we entering another appointed cycle of collapse foretold by Scripture itself? The deeper we go, the clearer it becomes that this is not just politics, not just economics. It is prophecy unfolding in real time. And the most chilling part? The Bible says the collapse will not be contained. When Babylon fell, nations shook. When Egypt collapsed, the world around it felt the tremors. If the United States collapses, the ripple will stretch across every continent, shaking markets, alliances, and lives everywhere. But we cannot stop here. The next revelation reveals how the collapse of empires is always followed by the rise of something new, something darker, something stronger. For prophecy tells us of a final empire, a beast that rises from the sea, devouring the earth, uniting power into one. And many believe that for such a beast to rise, the great powers of today must first fall. If America collapses, what will rise in its place? Who will rule the new order of the world? And what comes after may change how you see not just America, but the entire timeline of history. Because prophecy is not random. It is a clock. Every collapse, every rise, every shutdown is a tick on that divine clock, moving us closer to midnight. And as we continue on this journey, we will uncover even deeper connections, hidden patterns, and prophetic warnings that most have never dared to look at. Stay with me, because the next revelation may forever change how you see your future, your nation, and even the sky above you. The deeper we travel into this unfolding mystery, the more we realize that the shutdown of America is not just about numbers on a budget sheet or quarrels between political leaders. It is a symptom of a deeper sickness, one that has been quietly spreading for generations, one that the prophets warned about, but that the modern world has chosen to ignore. When Isaiah spoke of nations who forget the Lord, he described them as collapsing from within, devouring themselves until their pride became their ruin. Can we not see those words echoing now in the streets of America in the division of its people? in the growing distrust between neighbor and neighbor, and in the silence of churches that no longer cry out against sin. The collapse is not coming because of one politician or one party. It is the fruit of a spiritual drought, a hunger that has been ignored, a thirst for righteousness replaced by indulgence in vanity. But the next part will be even more shocking, for when we step into the pages of history, we discover that every empire that has risen and fallen followed the same haunting trajectory. Egypt, with its pyramids and gods, seemed eternal until plagues struck and its army drowned in the sea. Babylon, with its hanging gardens and mighty walls, believed itself unconquerable until its king saw the handwriting on the wall. Rome, the Iron Empire, stretched its legions across the world, but even Rome fell to internal rot before the barbarian hordes delivered the final blow. And now, America, a nation of skyscrapers, satellites and armies more powerful than any in history, trembles under the same fate. The question is not if, it is when, and prophecy whispers that the when may be closer than we dare to believe. What comes next will reveal a hidden truth you never expected. The collapse of an empire does not begin with fire raining from the skies or enemy armies crossing the border. It begins with trust being broken, with foundations crumbling quietly until nothing holds the structure together. Trust in money, trust in government, trust in one another, all unravel. The US dollar, once the backbone of global trade, now teeters on the edge of doubt as nations quietly turn away, forging their own alliances, crafting their own currencies. Revelation speaks of a time when no one will be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast, a time when the global economy will no longer bend around one nation but around one system. Could the cracks in the American economy, revealed during shutdowns, be the early tremors of this shift? The story only grows darker and more mysterious from here, for the Bible describes the fall of Babylon the Great, a city clothed in wealth, whose merchants grew rich from her excess, but whose destruction came in a single hour. Many scholars have debated for centuries who this Babylon represents. Could it be a single city, a future empire? Or could it be symbolic of a global system centered on one dominant power? And if America has become the heart of global commerce, its shutdown may not just be political chaos. It may be the precursor to Babylon's fall. Merchants will weep, markets will shatter, and the kings of the earth will cry out, "Alas, that great city has fallen." Do these words not echo eerily with the idea of the world watching America collapse? But the next revelation uncovers something even more chilling. Hidden in the cycles of time, patterns repeat like the ticking of a divine clock. The Shemitah years, the Jubilee cycles, the prophecies of 7 and 70 all point to rhythms in history where nations rise and fall not by chance, but by design. If we align America's financial collapses, we see the echoes of these biblical cycles, 1929, 2008, and now, as another season draws near, the signs grow stronger. It is as if a countdown is being carved into the very fabric of time, and yet the world pretends it does not see. But you see, you hear, and as you listen now, you realize that we are not watching coincidence. We are watching prophecy in motion. What comes next may change how you see even the skies above you. For prophecy is not limited to earth. It is written in the heavens. The stars, the sun, the moon, each has served as a clock for God's plan. Blood moons have marked turning points for Israel. Solar eclipses have cast omens over nations, and constellations have carried meanings since the beginning. 2 great eclipses crossing the United States within 7 years, forming an X over the heartland. Could this be a cosmic warning that the nation is marked for judgment? The ancients would not have doubted it. They would have trembled. But today, we laugh at signs, dismissing them as coincidence, even as they align with the crumbling foundations of our world. The next part will shock you even more, because the collapse of a nation is never confined to its borders. When America trembles, the world trembles. Already nations prepare, shifting their alliances. New empires rise quietly in the East, testing the strength of America's grip. The Bible speaks of kings of the East marching, of northern armies descending, of alliances forming that will one day converge in a final battle. Could the weakness of America, revealed through shutdown and collapse, be the trigger that unleashes these ancient prophecies? Could the fall of one nation ignite the rise of a world order long hidden in shadow? And the story only grows darker still, for the prophets spoke not only of wars and collapses, but of deception. A time would come when truth would be traded for lies, when good would be called evil and evil called good. Can we not see this now? Nations tearing themselves apart not because of invading armies, but because of the collapse of truth itself. When a people no longer know what to believe, when lies flood every channel, the enemy does not need to attack. They simply watch as the nation destroys itself. Is this not what we see in the endless debates, the division of people, the hatred that grows hotter each day? But the next revelation will uncover something very few people know. Prophecy does not merely warn of destruction, it also reveals why. Every collapse of every empire was tied to a moral breaking point when sin overflowed and patience ran out. The days of Noah were filled with violence and corruption. The days of Sodom overflowed with pride and perversion. The days of Babylon were marked with arrogance against the Most High. And in each case, collapse came suddenly, without warning, in the very moment when the people least expected it. Could it be that America is nearing such a threshold? Could it be that the shutdowns, the debt, the division are merely outward signs of an inward corruption? A sign that patience has run out. And yet the story is not finished. It stretches beyond politics, beyond economics, into realms unseen, into battles that rage above and beneath the surface. For prophecy teaches us that nations are influenced by principalities and powers, spiritual forces guiding kings and governments. When America collapses, it will not be by human hands alone. It will be the final movement in a symphony played by forces beyond our sight. Angels and demons, watchers and rulers of darkness, waging war while humanity walks blind. The next part will reveal even deeper secrets, secrets buried in symbols, hidden in history, waiting to be uncovered. And as we peel back these layers, the story will only grow darker, more mysterious and more urgent. And you will realize that what we are watching is not merely a shutdown, it is the unveiling of prophecy itself, and the collapse is only the beginning. And now, as we reach this moment, take a deep breath and think about everything we have uncovered together. We have peeled back the layers of history and prophecy. We have seen the patterns of empires that once stood proud only to crumble overnight. And we have recognized how America's shutdown and the looming collapse may not simply be political chaos, but a prophetic warning written long ago. We trace the rise and fall of Babylon, the fall of Rome, the warnings of Isaiah and Daniel, the cosmic signs written in the skies, the economic tremors shaking the earth, and the moral decline that always precedes judgment. And through it all, we have seen that prophecy is not abstract. It is alive, unfolding before our eyes, whispering that the time is short and that the world is changing faster than most can even realize. But prophecy is never given just to inform. It is given to transform. And now the question rests on you. What will you do with what you have heard? Will you dismiss it as another message lost in the noise of life, or will you allow it to pierce your heart, stir your spirit, and call you closer to God? This is your moment, not tomorrow, not someday, but now, to respond. I invite you right now to go into the comments and write your personal confession, share a short prayer, or testify about what God has already done in your life. Your words may be the very light that encourages someone else who is trembling in fear, searching for hope, longing for truth. Do not stay silent. Speak, and let your voice become part of the testimony that carries God's message further. And I urge you, with urgency and passion, do not let this message end here with you. Share this video with at least 10 people. Friends, family, co-workers, anyone you know, because when you do, you are not just sharing a video, you are sharing the Word of God, the warnings of prophecy, and the hope that still remains. Every share extends the reach of God's voice. Every testimony multiplies His truth. Every prayer spreads His blessing further than we can imagine. Remember this. When this message reaches more souls, it is not content being passed around. It is God's teaching being carried forward to awaken hearts, to prepare lives, and to transform nations. You are part of that mission. You are a vessel of His voice, and by acting today, you help fulfill the very prophecy we have been speaking of. So rise with holy responsibility, write your prayer, share your confession, tell your story, and spread this message until it reaches countless others. Because the time is short, the signs are clear, and the call of God is urgent. Do not wait. Act now, and together we will carry the light of His word into a world standing on the edge of collapse, showing them that even in the darkest hour, God is still calling, God is still warning, and God is still saving. Will you answer that call today?